Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about firearms policy, politics, culture, media, you name it. We're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment, like and share the program, and encourage your friends to do the same. And by the way, if you're watching us on YouTube and on Facebook, make sure you hit that notification button. That way you'll be notified as soon as we go live. And by the way, you'll be able to beat all of the algorithms that both YouTube and Facebook are doing to try and make sure that you don't know that we're on. So help us help you. Well, let's see. Help us help you. Help us. Anyway, whatever. Just make sure you guys go ahead and do that. Also want to encourage you guys to take a moment and become a member of the Firearms Policy Coalition. That's right. We're a membership organization, and we're fighting every day. We're fighting in the courts. We're fighting in the media. We're fighting in the halls of government, all for the fundamental right to keep and bear arms. As I like to say, we are not a political organization. We are a civil rights organization, a Second Amendment civil rights organization fighting for your rights. But folks, there is no us without you. So we need you to become a member today. Follow the join link in the description of this video and become a member today. As I always say, you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. Don't be part of the problem. Become a member today. And by the way, if you're already a member, or even if you're not already a member, another way in which you can support the Firearms Policy Coalition is by going to FPCGear.com. That's right. FPCGear.com is the place to go to get all of your Pro 2A swag. As you see, we have stuff for men and stuff for women. We have t-shirts. We have hoodies. We have tank tops. You name it, we have it. And it's all got very, very cool sayings and imagery on them, all promoting the Second Amendment, which basically means, I almost forgot, every dollar that you spend goes right back into the fight for a right to keep and bear arms. So what that means is you can support the Second Amendment and you can look good doing it. Remember, that's FPCGear.com. All right, on to today's topic, and we're going to be talking about an assault weapons ban. That's right. With the decision in brewing, as I've talked to you about numerous times before, folks, Second Amendment litigation is looking very, very different these days, and the Firearms Policy Coalition is doing everything possible to make sure that our rights are re-examined in many of these cases. And one of the ways in which we've been doing it has to do with assault weapons bans. One of the other assault weapons bans that we have filed a case on has to do with New Jersey. That's right. The New Jersey assault weapons ban is being challenged by the Firearms Policy Coalition. And to talk about this particular lawsuit, we have Associate Counsel with the Firearms Policy Coalition, Mr. Bill Sack, returning with us.
Hey, Craig. How are you?
I am doing excellent, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. So we've talked about assault weapons bans. We've talked about them in various different states in these lawsuits. So I guess my first question is going to be, how is this case, or is this case any different than the other assault weapons cases that we have filed?
So in a lot of ways, no, it's not different. One of the things that, we are all well aware of is that there are, like the big 5 or 6 jurisdictions around the country that are the ones that are the hotbeds of unconstitutional gun control. And those are the areas where the people that have the unfortunate reality of living under those regimes have their rights infringed upon the worst. New York, New Jersey, California, Massachusetts, Connecticut. I mean, these are all of the obvious places that we know of as the birthplaces of most gun control. So it's important now, with the Bruin decision having clarified the proper test for how it is we're supposed to analyze gun control to see if it meets constitutional muster, that in each one of these jurisdictions where the sort of unconstitutional gun control that's been allowed to fester for the last decade or two, that we pull it out from the root wherever it's growing. So that means New York, where we filed our assault weapons ban challenge on July 12th. And 2 days later, on July 14th, we filed this challenge in New Jersey, which is Cheeseman versus Platkin, It's another federal case brought in the District of New Jersey in this instance, arguing that the text, as informed by history and tradition of the Second Amendment, does not support any sort of assault weapons ban.
Okay, let me ask you this now. So, because some people are going to say, well, if we have one that's fighting a ban, why do we need to fight? Why do we need to introduce a case in another area, right? So, in other words, isn't one case fighting it? Don't we have to just get one ruling?
So, yes and no. Um, the reality is that the way that the federal system is structured is that a win at the district level only binding precedent in that district. Similarly, if we were to get a win, say in a circuit, a particular circuit, so let's say we got a circuit win in this case, in the New Jersey case, that would only be binding in the Third Circuit, which is Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. So, to the extent that there would be assault weapon bans elsewhere, those courts could look to this decision uh, and they could use it as persuasive authority if they chose to, or they could ignore it altogether. So it's most important for us as the leaders in Second Amendment litigation to file these cases in multiple jurisdictions, to hold courts all around the country accountable and the states that are passing this stuff accountable. And that way, also, if we have a particular court and a particular circuit try to get squirrely and try to come up with some sort of very tortured decision upholding one of these, what we can end up with is a circuit split. And if we can generate a circuit split, or if a circuit split is generated by the nature of a particular circuit or multiple circuits coming to the wrong conclusion on these cases, that can be all the more reason for us to look to the Supreme Court to further clarify and say, look, the circuits still don't get it. Even after Bruin and after all the clarification as to the proper test, they're still managing to screw this up, and we still have disagreement in the lower courts. So, SCOTUS, want you fix this again?
Well, and I think that's to no small degree what we've seen with a number of decisions that have come down following Heller and McDonald. Um, but no, I think you're 100% right, and that's folks. I asked that question not that I didn't already know the answer, but it's vitally important that we're fighting these cases wherever, in whatever jurisdiction that they are happening, uh, and that's the thing unfortunately some people are, because there are people out there who are like, well, we have something like that in our state, or we have this law or that law, and you have to understand, FPC is fighting cases on multiple fronts all across the country. And if we're not directly involved in the case, then in many cases we're filing amicus briefs in those cases. So it's important, but it's important to
Yeah.
understand that these things have to be fought everywhere where they have cropped up.
Yeah, I mean that. I think that's a point well taken, Craig. We really make every effort to fight these cases in every jurisdiction that we can. Now, we hear all the time from folks. Every time we file a case, the comment section is, "Well, how come you haven't done my state yet? Or how come you haven't done my county yet? Or how come you haven't done my city yet?" Because there's gun control abound, and there's lots of tyrants all over the country that need to get sued. There are instances where, for certain strategic reasons, we have to prioritize, or in terms of the order of events, or in terms of which cases are brought when and where, we do have to be strategic. That's not to say that we're not interested in fighting all of these cases, but we have to pick our battles in terms of when and where we take each case, so that we can be the most effective and get the best results for the people.
Exactly. For those of you who participate in, whether it's IDPA or other tactical shooting competitions, that it's important. There's a process.
Tactical priority, Craig. Tactical
Exactly.
priority.
There you go. There are tactical priorities, and because the goal here, it's not just to file cases, right? The goal is to put yourself in the best position to win those cases, and make the statement that is going to positively impact the greatest percentage of the people, right?
Right. We want to get the best outcome for the most people as quickly as we can. That's the goal.
Exactly, exactly. And the other thing is, a lot of these cases, especially if you wind up getting split decisions, like one circuit says one thing or another circuit says another, these things take a while before they finally bubble up, and even then, bubble up to the Supreme Court. And even then, there's no guarantee that the Supreme Court will wind up taking the cases. I mean, we just saw the New York case was the first case that the Supreme Court had taken up on the Second Amendment since McDonald.
Since McDonald. Yep.
So while I do know that we have a favorable Supreme Court, I don't want to put all our eggs in that basket.
Sure. I mean, let's remember that since McDonald, I mean, and really since Heller, we had the circuit courts running wild, creating this two-step interest balancing test that the circuit courts created out of whole cloth, and that two-prong test for Second Amendment analysis, using oftentimes a very watered down version of intermediate scrutiny, was allowed to be used. The Supreme Court allowed that to go on for over a decade. So we have a newly articulated test, but there are still some unanswered questions as to how that test is going to be put into application. And we want to be very strategic and make sure that we give ourselves the best possible circumstances to get the best possible interpretations and applications of this new test moving forward, so we get the best outcome for the people.
Well, okay. So I appreciate your scholarly and lawyerly way of putting it, in terms of they created out of whole cloth. I prefer to say they just pulled it out of their asses.
Yeah, that's about right. That's about right.
All right. Hey, how can folks follow the work of you guys over there at in the legal team at the Firearms Policy Coalition?
Yes. So to check out FPC generally, you can go to firearmspolicy.org, where you can sign up. You can send us money that we will turn into lawsuits. You can buy cool looking t-shirts, hoodies, and tank tops. And then to go directly to my legal team's page, you go to fpclaw.org. There you can see all of the cases that the FPC Law team is fighting on behalf of the people, in the hopes of achieving maximal human liberty for everyone. We are very big on transparency here with FPC. All of the briefing that we file, all of the arguments that we make, all of the complaints, all of the cases are all there. You can read them all in their entirety for free.
Bill, once again, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for coming on the program. And we will look forward to having you back soon.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you, Craig.
All righty, folks. All right, well, folks, that's going to be it for this edition of Coffee with Craig. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. Remember, this is a fight for our civil rights. Got to use them or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.